Hi, my name is Ed Goad, and I'm an instructor at Green River College. In this video, we're going to talk about the basics for building and setting up networks inside a Packet Tracer. Now, first off, what is Packet Tracer? Well, it's a free tool that's provided by Cisco that allows us to build simple as well as complex network environments in a open sandbox type environment. This helps us to be able to visualize how the networks work in both how packets flow from point A to point B, as well as watching the packets as they flow between devices throughout our network. This also helps us to be able to prepare and test possible network changes. So if we have a physical environment that we want to make changes in, we can go ahead and prepare those changes in our test environment inside a Packet Tracer, confirm whether they work as we planned them to, and then when we make the changes in our production environments, we can simply copy what we've already done. In order to download Packet Tracer, go ahead and go to netacad.com and look for the Packet Tracer courses. You will have to sign up for one of the courses, and then you can download Packet Tracer. In this video, we're going to build this fairly simple network. We're only really going to be focusing on placement of the devices and cabling of the devices. We're not going to be too concerned about the actual configuration of them. That will come at a later step. So once you have Packet Tracer installed in your environment, it will look similar to this. The layout is fairly simple. Right here in the middle window is where your network will go. There are various tools and buttons up at the top, which you can go through at a later date. Down at the lower left-hand side, we have our toolbox. You can choose various types of tools, and you can see as you hover over them, they'll tell you what they are: network devices, end devices, components, miscellaneous, and multi-user. Once you choose the category, like network devices, you can then have subcategories under it, such as routers, switches, hubs, wireless, security, and WAN emulation. Most of the categories will have different subcategories. Not all of them, I believe, have different subcategories. Yeah, so miscellaneous does not have a subcategory. When you choose a category and subcategory, you then have the devices available for you here. Now, our simple network, I'm going to start off with a router. And so I am right here on the network devices and the router's sub-device type. And I can see I have lots of different router types to choose from. My specific environment is asking for a 4331 ISR router. So that's the one I'm going to choose right there. I'm going to click and drag that into my network window. And just like that, I have my router. The next item I have on my list of things to put in here is a couple of switches. So if I go back to my network devices and then subcategory of switches, and I click on that, I will see I have multiple switches to choose from. For this case, I'm going to take the 2960 and I'm going to click and drag. I'll put that one there. And I actually want two, so I'm going to click and drag and put another one over there. Lastly, I want a couple of servers. So I'm going to go to end devices and end devices as opposed to home smart city. And I can see I have PC, laptop, server. So I'm going to click and drag, and then click and drag. Now there's two remaining items I want to do here. First off, I want to rename all of these devices. The name server 2 does not necessarily mean anything to me, so I want to rename that to what I would expect it to be. In order to do that, I put my mouse over where it says server 2 and I click one time. And I can see this box pops up where I can edit the name. So I will just call this server A. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for server 3. And then for the switches, I'm going to rename to left switch and right switch. And because I only have the one router, I'm going to, instead of calling it router 1, I will just call it router. Now, these names that I put in here have nothing to do with the actual Cisco configurations or the configurations of the devices. It's just the label that I see here inside of Packet Tracer. The last thing I want to do is connect all the devices together. If I look back down in my toolbox again, I will see right there on the lightning bolt, connections. When I choose connections, I will see I have lots of different types of connections. Again, if I choose the lightning bolt, it will allow me to automatically choose a connection type. However, I want to be specific, so I'm going to choose the black line here, which is the copper straight through cable. Click that, and now I have my icon. It looks like the end of a Cat5 cable. I'm going to start on server A. I'm going to click and choose that I want this to plug into the fast Ethernet 0 connection. When I've done that, I now choose the other end that I want it to connect into. So I come up to my left switch, click, and I'm going to choose fast Ethernet 0.1. Once I've done with that, I'll grab the next cable and I'll do the same thing on the right-hand side. Fast Ethernet to fast Ethernet. I'll then grab another copper straight through, and I'll start with the left switch, and in this case, I'll choose 2. And I want to connect that to my router. So click on there, and I will choose gigabit 000. One more on the switch to gigabit 001. And there we have it, a fairly quick and easy introduction to building your very first network inside of Packet Tracer. We'll configure the IPs and devices at the next step.